Hello everyone, I guess hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day, and today we are here again with a PWCC weekly review where I go through the top 100 soccer items auctioned off this week. As always, if you can, I'd appreciate it if you left a like, it helps the video, helps the channel, and with that said, let's go ahead and get on into it. So as always, start from the bottom and work our way up. I will say a pretty high starting point this week at $200. Typically we see 100, 150, so 200 is as high as it usually gets. In the bottom row, just a plethora of vintage. We have a 56 Avava, one of a couple sets you see quite a lot with the Jose Innocente and the Benassi and all that jazz. We have the Bruguera Di Stefano, the 53 you see the most, and a PSA 6 going for 200. There's a give and a take to being the one that you see the most. It is the one that you think of first, but then at the same time, you know, it's the most plentiful, which is obviously a downside as well. But goes for 206, so obviously, you know, nothing all too crazy and hard to find in a decent grade. Also a Meredith of note next to that there for 210, pop one of 2.8 higher. Above that, sort of a funny row when you look at it. We have a Vinicius sticker auto with presumably a, you know, non-associated patch, a Messi non-associated patch, and a 1920 Italian defender, I believe it was. Did a little bit of research, but we'll see a fair few Italian cards from this set. This is also one that had a I think it was a Ferrari rookie or something along those lines that sold for a ton of money, so I think that sort of brought out other cards in the set, so this is what we got here. Above that, a mixed bag. Here we have a Pedri out of 50 gold top Stadium Club Chrome. We have a Erling Haaland PSA 10 going for 222 there. Looks, I mean, I guess a little OC, so maybe this affects the price, but this was actually notably down. I wanted to check this because the Salzburg sticker had been sort of, you know, climbing down lately. And so I wanted to see, well, how has this been doing? So in September, you could, you know, kind of sell these for 350, 400, sometimes 5 on a best offer, maybe, you know, a nice bin. Now down to 250, 300, and this one 222. So pretty low on that. Those are drifting down. As is Haaland just in general. You know, I don't think the hobby's as enthused about it as they once were. And, you know, once he's sort of got the goal record and the treble, what is there to do? How do you surpass expectations at that point? And so it's more of a long game at this rate that we're going. A Messi PSA 9 from the 2008 Mega Cracks goes for 222. Above that, we have a little bit of some oddities. A 1999 PSA 10 David Beckham. These ones are a little bit more weird to me, more modern PSA 10 Messis. Yeah, I mean, good looking cards, but I guess is PSA 10 Messi just a collectible genre in general? I'm not sure. Another PSA 10 here, this one numbered though, and from 2015. Erling Haaland sticker along with a couple PSG stickers. Another Haaland finest, so this one goes a little bit higher. Okay, 288, so I guess it evens out a bit there. A PSA 9 Messi 2013 Mega Cracks along with a PSA 6 going for 300, nearly. This is the Campio. We saw a lot of these sell in a auction a couple weeks back, and so this seems to be a pretty decent price, at least comparatively to where some of those went when there was a load of them that got listed. So this one goes for near 300, seems like a decent price. A Figo Auto along with the Topps Museum Haaland Sapphire. There'll be an Mbappe later of the same set, well I guess different year, but same, you know, Topps Museum. And I think it's a fun way to get at their rookies if you want something different. You know, to me, they've always sort of stood out, but people don't really like Topps Museum from what I understand. At least, you know, no one really talks about it all too in depth. 2015 PSA 10 Messi goes for 310. A Campio PSA 6 of the blue version here goes for 310. David Beckham Futera, also PSA 4 Panini Calciatore Pele Velita back. So I did look this up just to go ahead and sort of see what they're doing, and yeah, basically this one goes for 310. Really good colors on this PSA 4 comparatively. Last one was 250, and yeah, before that 400, a little bit higher. So they've drifted down a little bit, but nothing too crazy. Really nice look on that one there. 1902 Ogden's Geo Smith, so a name of, you know, moderate note, not the biggest of names, but still a star within the realm. This actually had sales, so I decided to look into it. You know, the first sale all the way at the bottom was a PSA 1 for 420. Immediately right after that, within 2 months, a PSA 4 went for 160. So it seemed to correct back then. Now a PSA 5 going for 310 doesn't seem all too out of line, and you know, obviously somewhat attainable given there's 5 sales of it that we could find. I think one of them was a different version, but nonetheless. A little bit easier to find is this 2019 Erling Haaland sticker. We also have a gold breakaway Vinicius. This is where 2022 Prism sort of loses me. I think 2014 Prism's obviously special for us, but I think 2018 will be seen as special too because you don't have the, you know, different variations of release that you have with 2022 with the breakaway. I know there's 3 different ones. I don't even collect any of it really because there's already too many parallels within one set. But once you have 3 different releases of the same product, I'm just, at a loss. So you lose me there, and, still a fun looking card. And, if you're a Vinicius person, could be a cool one. Cristiano Ronaldo out of 49. Copper field level goes for 336. This Thierry Henry PSA 5 goes for a pretty decent number, 336 as well. Didn't have any comps on this, but comparatively to Zlatan, this seemed like a pretty high sale, and the Zlatan's earlier in his career where it's hard to find Zlatan stuff, so I think, to me, I would imagine the Zlatan should be more, but in this case it's not. Maybe that's because people have dug more for the Zlatans than they have the Henry. I don't know. Beckenbauer PSA 8 from 1966 goes for near the same. And here's the Topps Museum Kylian Mbappe I was referencing. A fun-looking one for 348. And out of 75, 2017 Kylian Mbappe from a pretty decent set, in my opinion. PSA 9, not easy to grade. Feels like a decent price. I'm not much of a prospector, so, not my wheelhouse, but relatively... I'd feel more comfortable with something like this or the other Holland out of 75 than, say, the Topps Finest footballers. A couple Ronaldos here. This one was really low. Both of them, I like the red on red, but this one was really low. I looked this one up because I was interested. They all sort of blend into me. But a PSA 9 of this has been going for 250, 175, 200. So the 350 sale seems a bit high. I'm not gonna lie. Even this 250, it seems from the same seller. So I'm just going to say 200, right? Even at 200, a PSA 10 for 348 is pretty crazy. I mean, that is a really low sale. The comps on PSA 10s were like 600, 700. But even then, again, there was sort of the same buy it now thing going on. And I'm not that sure if people are going out and buying these right now as if they need to. So, something to look at. Row above it, a couple cards here that, I don't really care too much to talk about. But then, moderately notable, Ronaldo. People like the colors. This one was relatively in line with comps. I did look it up, but you could just trust me, right? Basically, there's not a lot of BGS 8.5, so you had to go between PSA 8s and 9s, and this is within the realm. To me, while 2014 Prism is a great set, this isn't a great card, in my opinion, just because it's numbered Ronaldo. I do think, it means something to the right person, but at the same time, there's many other Ronaldos within the set that I would like to get if I was chasing, so just something to think about. Above that, a lot of pre-modern, a little bit of vintage, just a sprinkle. So a 2011 Ronaldo and Messi dual sticker goes for 384 and a PSA 9. A later career Eusebio SGC 1 goes for 400, still amazing, and you usually expect to get Eusebio in a 1 grade. Andrea Pirlo, 1997 Panini Calciatore PSA 10 goes for 400, pop 1 of 13. We see the Idemar quite a bit for Pele. This PSA 4 goes for 400. A PSA 10 blue out of 299. Messi goes for 420. We also have the copper here. PSA 9 goes for a little bit higher than the Ronaldo, but it was a grade higher, so seems relatively similar to me. PSA 8 Campione goes for 456. I think this is an interesting one because, realistically, I think there should be more of a gap between 6s and 8s, but I don't think there can really be less, right? Because if right down here there's a 6 for, 288, right? So if a 6 is 288 and an 8 is 456, that's like a 50% increase for 2 grades. I don't think it could ever be like a 30% increase for 2 grades. That's just, way too low. So to me, if you are focusing on this sort of stuff, I think you should try to aim for higher grade. It might not seem like a big deal when you're just getting your card, but, when you look around and everyone else has one, you want something to distinguish yourself, so if you can climb grades or just have something in better condition, of course it's going to be great. And, in cards where they are a bit more plentiful, even comparatively to, cards that are actually plentiful, this isn't all that plentiful. But, in the soccer realm, it's not anything crazy, so to have higher grades is important. And that goes, for a lot of the things we see in these auctions, right? If it's coming up in a PWCC weekly auction, odds are it's not something impossible to find. Most things that make their way here, are doable. That's sort of how this all works. 1965 Panini Calciatore Pele PSA 6 goes for 468. Michael Laudrup goes for close to 500 and a PSA 9, so pretty nice sale there. Pop 1 of 2, none higher, so hard to get. The first of some trebles we'll be seeing. This is a Sergio Ramos out of 25, goes for nearly 500. I looked up comps on this, and I did this with, I think, another treble at some point. The Ronaldo we'll see later. But this just seems, it is gold, so, I get there's a premium, but it seems pretty high. you know, an out of 49 purple. I know it's purple, but it went for 70 and then 80, and it seemed to have gotten relisted. You know, when things seem to get relisted, I don't take the comps as seriously. So in my head, you know, it's a little bit of a discount. And so to go from a out of 49 to an out of 25 gold and it being, you know, 8 to 9 times the price, I mean, that's a lot. BGS 9 is not going to be easy as well. So there is some sort of a grade premium to be had, right? So makes sense. We'll see more, though, and they went for higher prices, so this isn't the lowest by any means. This one, on the other hand, got slaughtered. I looked that up because I was interested. To me, I mean, I remember Select Serie A releasing, and I'm pretty sure it was an expensive rip. Now, this is a PSA 8, but it's a pop 1 of 3, not higher, so it's not easy to grade. And yeah, it's going to be a bloodbath if I can get there. So 504, last one went for 1100. One before that got relisted, but it went apparently for 5,500, didn't get sold, and then went for 2,800. So fake 55, not even going to include that, but 28, then to 11, now to 5. So, you know, basically the chase of the set, one of the hits of the set, barely paying for what you're opening, you know, just sort of encapsulates modern product, I would say, and where we're really at. And that's why I don't rip stuff. I mean, in general, it's just a bad proposition, but even worse now, it's just absolutely brutal. Comparatively, a Sapphire Edition Erling Haaland still doing okay. These used to be 700-800 all day. They're down to 5, so that's slipped a little bit for sure. But, you know, to me, I mean, not a special card. I see these in literally every auction, sometimes 3 or 4. It's just, you know, a plenty. A gold Robert Lewandowski goes for 516. You know, sort of interesting dynamic where he plays out here. We'll see more about that in a second. 1982 Diego Maradona PSA 8 Spanish Liga. Looks really cool. High grade pop 1 of 2 goes for 516. This one seemed really low to me. I don't know enough about why this is more common than the Pele, but basically this is from the same set as the 1957 Pele, but it's Garrincha. To me, that's basically, you know, the second best person in the set. So to get his PSA 1 for 516, while comparatively a Pele does like 200,000, at least it did 200,000 in 2020. I don't know what it does now. Could be higher, could be lower, but to see a Garrincha do 516 seems really low. Now, upon further research, there are like 15 of these graded or something, while there's only 2 Peles. You know, I'm sure there are people out there that know. If you do know, I'd love to know why that is. But to me, I mean, 516 for the Garrincha. I did look up comps. I don't know if I kept them up. I did not. I must have thought they were boring. Nonetheless, trust me, this is actually a pretty low sale, one of the lowest I could find. Now, back in 2019, a PSA 1 was doing like $150 to $200, so, you know, it's still up a little bit from pre-boom, but rightfully so in my mind. We have a 1920s Miazza here, a in-action shot. You see a lot of these, or not a lot of them, but, you know, a few different sort of versions is what I meant. But a SGC 1 goes for 516 there. Early Miazza. 1920s era, they've sort of done this a lot more. All the companies have, of just having a range of dates rather than sort of, you know, pigeonholing themselves into one and then being wrong. I think it's a better way of going about it for sure. 1958 Pele Gazzetta goes for 540. You know, just pairing up the despicable cards. This is an album cover that's been cut, and this is, you know, sort of a weird one that was 2004, now 2006, and just an odd release all around. Goes for 550 though, still people paying a good dollar for that. Anything PSA 10 Messi is going to do that. Oh gosh, I can't remember his name. I looked this up beforehand. I can't remember his first name, but it's Asea. I think it's Pedro Asea. I could be wrong. But basically one of the better players on the Uruguayan side throughout their sort of run. And this was a pop 1 of 1 that went for 550. I mean, looks absolutely amazing and sort of, you know, very fitting portrait shot that sort of matched a lot of the photos that I saw. So seems true to form, and yeah, pretty good price there, $550. Always fun to see new things pop up on my radar, and that's a cool one for sure. 2020 gold, Lionel Messi out of 10 goes for $576. I mean, I guess sort of the Immaculates water themselves down where, you know, every year you sort of have more out of 10s and all that stuff, but that doesn't seem like a crazy price comparatively. I mean, I'm not even an Immaculate guy. I take this over this, though, for sure. So PS8 Campio goes for $576. Seems like a pretty solid price, again, comparatively to a couple weeks ago. This Mueller BGS 9 goes for $600, nearly $600. To me, I guess, as, you know, if there are Bayern collectors out there, I'd imagine they probably want to collect Mueller more than Lewandowski, but not being a Bayern collector, I'd rather have the Lewandowski. Select tie-dye sticker Erling Haaland. We have a PSA 9 Ronaldo from 95-96, so not a rookie. 1962 Editore Vecchi Pele. This is always a fun one for me. I just love the flags on the border. I think it's very, very memorable. Did look this one up. This one got relisted, so it went for $552, and then apparently the next week it goes, well, not the next week, the next month it goes for more at $600. We'll see if that one goes, but even comparatively, that seemed like a low sale. There was a one that sold for $400 and a 2.5 for $500 recently. They had better eye appeal, but you know, I think people sometimes overrate eye appeal. It matters, but the technical grade should also still matter a good bit. I mean, that's sort of what all of these slabs are about, right? PSA 8 Monday Chromo goes for $630 here. Felt pretty low. I mean, we see 9s go for like $2,000 consistently. So you'd imagine 8s to be closer to 800 to 1,000. 630 seems pretty low, and this is also a decently centered copy, I would say. So cool pickup there. 8.5 of the Spanish blue version, Messi rookie going for $660. PSA 10 2005 Super Barca goes for $690. I think this is sort of where I'd rather go. You know, I'm not a Big Trouble guy, I'll just admit it. I think they don't look that stunning. If you get them in the right light, they do work. But, I mean, you're paying a big premium on trebles. I know it's a shorter numbered set, but you know, I'd much rather get like a flawless Lampard. Now, I'm pretty sure this is a Man City kit, which is a little less appealing, but right above it, we have a Sergio Ramos, which is sort of a more, you know, stark comparison because we have the Ramos treble from earlier. So Ramos treble gold for $500, or maybe a pony up the extra 50% and get a Sergio Ramos on card, match use, out of 25 flawless. I'd much rather have this. You know, grade's not the best. I guess this is a 10, this is a 7, but as you can see, there's no difference in price. A bit better of a logo on that one, but at the same time, you know, given the kit, how do you weigh that? To each their own. So PSA 9 of the white Campione goes for $800. Not a crazy price, but we've seen those fall a little bit. They're also the more common to get in high grade. This is a 1922 Zamora. Great looking early Zamora here. Goes for $780 in a pop 1 of 1, none higher. Had to dig deep for this one since pop 1 of 1, none higher. So we went to Toto Collection, one of the best foreign websites in terms of being able to see price history. And yeah, so there have been 2 that sold this year, one for $350, one for $108. You know, I think this one looked pretty good, I will say, comparatively to those. So $780 seems like a pretty solid number. Typically, you'd expect things to go for more on an American site if it's truly desirable and sought after, because of just the ease of access. But there are times where, you know, people just don't even care or don't have the eyes on it, and it might go for lower. So it all depends, but that seems like a pretty steady price. We have a 1930 Miazza SGC4 for $810. We have a Balancieri from the set that we mentioned earlier. This is the red name that goes for $840. That'll be notable because there is a blue name that we'll see here in a second. A green treble Benzema goes for $870. Personally, I think that that's the coolest out of any of the trebles. I think the green, you know, just has the same sort of aspects of, you know, the out of 10 PMGs and all that jazz. But $870 there on the Benzema, that seems like a much more reasonable price in the sense of Benzema, great goal scorer, sort of the face of Real Madrid. Green, but at the same time, gold versus green, you know, how people weigh that, I don't know. But interesting to see. 1995 Ronaldo here. Always loved the look of this one, but not a rookie, so, you know, doesn't quite get the luster that you might hope. But 900 there for a BGS 9.5, pop 1 of 4. PSA 3 Mega Cracks Messi goes for $960. Pretty low price, at least from what I remember seeing. I feel like for a time there, like PSA 1s and 2s of the 71 bits would probably do this price. But now we have a PSA 3 doing nearly 1,000. We have a Bremer Fakhrin Coffee of Pele here in action shot, PSA 6 on the surfboard. We have another surfboard to match it right above it. Team Photo, PSA 7 going for 1,000 as well. You know, I don't know if the surfboards are needed on these. Maybe they are. I really wish PSA would just get rid of using these on soccer when it's not necessary. But if it is, you know, I understand. Just not a fan, really. BGS 9.5 Mbappe sticker. This is a really low price. This is almost a PSA 9 price. Now, to be fair, is the grade low? No, I think it's a Gem Plus. I mean, it's sideways, so I kind of have to look weird. But I think that's a Gem Plus, and that being the case, I mean, that's a pretty low price. But BGS stickers in general deserve just the absolute shame that they get. 2018 Kylian Mbappe red prism out of, what is it, 149, goes for 1,020. This was a pretty high price. I kept an eye on it there for a bit. But yeah, 1,080. I bought one of these in the prior, lot of sales. I'm not going to say which one because who really cares. But I was also then interested in this one because it was just a really nice PSA 6, well-centered, great colors. I was like, if it goes cheap enough, I'll buy it, I'll sell mine. Didn't go cheap enough. 1,080 was not what I had in mind. Prior, we had a 4.5 sell for 305, 2 for 130, a 2.5 for 210, 3.5 for 210. You get the idea. I mean, basically, 200s for a mid-grade, 100 for a low grade, 300 for a better grade, and then I was thinking, well, this might go for 500-600. No, 1,080 there. So really nice looking one, and gets a very fair price, I would say. Pop 104.7 graded higher, so not all that easy. PSA 9 Messi, the green can't be owned, going for 1,100, next to an out of 10 select gold for nearly the same price. Row above that, we have an Mbappe Topps Chrome Refractor for 1,200, next to, for the same price, a Pele Aquarella. I thought this was a nice looking PSA 2. I mean, I always say it's so hard to judge these, but for a 2, it looks pretty well centered. The colors look great. I mean, the perforations, they're hard to judge typically, but nothing seems all that off. I don't care enough to look at the back, but, just speaking to it, I will say that looks really, really good. Alcantara here, a PSA 1. You can sort of see a lot of scuffing or discoloration going on, but nonetheless, still a really beautiful one there for 1,260. Same set as the Zamora that we saw earlier. Both pretty big players in the set. Past sales, there aren't as many as the Zamora for some reason, but the only one that I was able to find was 700. So, a nice markup on the others that were selling for the Zamora. Always a little different, though, when you look up stuff like this, because you have to look up for different things on the back. I mean, how PSA labels something might not be the way that people that buy and sell these things label them, so it's just sort of hard to find, right? But yeah, 1,260 for a Pop 101, none higher, early Alcantara. And then we have the Balancieri blue names, so presumably the blue is more desirable than the red. At least that's what I'll take from these sales. This one getting a 50-60% increase, I do believe. Lionel Messi sticker out of, I think it's 25, goes for 1,530. This is a Cruyff postcard. I'm unsure if the front signed or the back signed, because I looked at it and basically, it looks like it's signed on the front, but maybe that's just how it comes, and then he actually signed on the back. I don't know. I'm guessing that the back is just printed on there, and then he signed it on the front. Nonetheless, 1,560 for an early Cruyff signature. Well, the item itself is early. It is a blue pen, which to me always sort of signifies an earlier signature, but yeah, nothing I can speak on all too in depth on. 2017 green Lionel Messi in the clutch. PSA 10 goes for 1,600. We also have a red-blue fusion Holland for 1,600, along with a Lionel Messi signed swatch here from 2018 Immaculate Collection. Then we move into the top 6. Not a ton of crazy ones this week, but some pretty interesting sales, I will say. The one on the left just kind of blows your mind. We'll talk about that. So 2004 PSA 10 goes for 2,500 of this Messi Campeón. I think we saw one get maybe at 2K, if not close to 2K, a couple weeks ago, so this one seems to be a little bit higher. Again, at least to me, this badge seems really far off to the right. So does Messi as well. I think that this is really, really off-center. I could be wrong, but that doesn't seem like a PSA 10 to me. I'm just going to say that. 2018 Panini Treble Gold Cristiano Ronaldo goes for 3,000. This one I did look up comps on just because, again, interested. And basically, this one goes for 3,000. Before this, I'm always interested whenever I see multiple listings that look exactly the same, because that is, presumably someone not paying. And all three of the Ronaldo comps before this are unpaid. So I don't know what to make of that. Basically, you can see right here, this one sold May 16th, 2022. A month later, gets relisted. This one got relisted within 4 days for an auction from a fixed. I don't know. And then this one got relisted. So always just interesting to see that. 3,000 for a BGS 9. One of the highest prices in here. BGS 9 is not going to be easy to get, so if you want to make the case for it, I could see why that is. Also, always love to throw in that a gold Cristiano Ronaldo treble was $50 in 2019, so just something to think about. I find it to be interesting. 1978 Diego Maradona crack Campeonato Mundial PSA 1. This goes for 3,100, and if you know what these usually go for, you'd know that shouldn't be the case, right? So we'll just look at the comps now to get it over with. This one goes for 3,100. What was the last comp? 380. So up 8-9x. Soccer's just booming, right? The one before that was 312, 288. So they actually dipped a little bit, 269. They were 300 to 400 before then, earlier this year. So they kind of were low. They dipped a little bit lower, and then they sort of have come back a little bit. And now that they've 8 or 9x, they're just through the roof. But that's not really the case. So basically why this has occurred, or at least what someone was theorizing in the Vintage Discord, if you want to check that out, link down below to it, would recommend it. But basically, I mean, this is just a stunning copy if you look at the front. Corners look pretty good, edges look good, centering's pretty decent. I mean, obviously off-center, but the colors are great. I mean, it's just a stunning copy. Even in their natural state, just the printing process itself ruins a lot of these. So this looking this good is amazing. Now, what's the back look like? Looks really good, and that seems to be at least what people are assuming this was paid a high amount for, is that someone is going to try to get this excess paper off of the sticker. And so basically, if you clean this up here, could you even tell that it was stuck? That's sort of the question to be asked. And apparently, at least you were to assume that someone, or maybe even two people out there, thought to themselves, I can get that paper off, and I could turn this PSA 1 into maybe a PSA 5, 6, something along those lines. And so just interesting to see that happen in broad daylight, to be able to see stuff like that take place where someone's, paying that insane of a premium. I can only imagine if you own this as a PSA 1 and listed it for, like $500, and it just got snatched up immediately, and you had no clue of what you really truly had. But yeah, 3,100 is crazy. I guess we do have to see if it gets paid. I mean, when something's that high, you have to wonder. But if it does get paid, then, I guess we won't be seeing it again. And then finally in the top three, we have a messy fake PSA 9. So this is, sort of something that it's really tainted stickers. Because no matter the case, when you have fakes in slabs selling, they're going to lower comps comparatively to the real ones. And in a falling market that we had, I think at this point things seems to be a lot more stable. Of course, there's still things going up and down, but when things were going through that correction process, that's going to be hit really harshly because people always want to pay less in comps. And if you're comping fake stuff all the time, then you're just going to keep marching down. And so, that march was made all the more steady and steep by fakes like this messy. So basically, not going to go into it before. There's videos on it if you want to go look them up. Look up fake Panini stickers on YouTube. You'll probably find videos on it. But essentially, this shouldn't have this rosette pattern that it has on the sticker. It does have it, and thus you can pretty easily tell. Now, that isn't the case for other versions of this sticker, so you really have to be in the weeds and know what you're looking at. Luckily enough, PSA does have the grading guarantee where, you could send this to them. They'll be like, yeah, it's fake. They actually, paid out a lot on these. They paid out on a PSA 10 that I think was bought for like $120,000, something crazy like that. So they pay out on these. And so you'd send them this and, they'd give you your money back. But yeah, tough to see. Good that we can talk about it, I guess. And, should be another sticker being eliminated from the population, hopefully, if that buyer reaches out to PSA or whatever it may be. So 1970 Pele red blue back 1970 World Cup. This is a PSA 5, so this is the most rare of the backs. A nice red and blue one, as you can see there. PSA 5, not the best grades. You can find 7s, 8s, pretty high grade 1970, but the red blue back is insanely rare. I think it's something like 1 to 50, 1 to 100 comparatively with some others. I mean, it's just like a really, really hard back to find, and it's also hand cut, which, sort of cuts both ways, no pun intended, but goes for $4,000 there. I did look up the comps on that one, and basically what we were able to find is a PSA 4 that sold earlier this year for $5,200. Now, just from these pictures here, I can sort of tell that the color on the 4 is better, but how that matters to each person, who knows. But $4,000 seems to be, a better deal than the PSA 4 prior. So I will say 1970 stickers are getting faked a little bit. At least that's what people are worried about. And from the evidence I've seen, I'm worried about it. So that's the way I'll phrase it, which then makes me really concerned for rare backs, because that just seems like a prime target, if I'm being honest. And, you know, for that reason, while I do admire it and, you know, I think it's a great sticker, it's just tough. Yeah, it's just really tough. So, you know, great sticker. Makes me a little sad. Hopefully PSA can, you know, sort this all out. Some of the other graded companies don't even care to. So when it comes to stickers, I would say just stick with PSA. Best case scenario, you'll be good. So, you know, this is one I don't know if they'd pay out. I don't even know how they'd have to pay out. I don't know if this is quite a 10. It is a PSA 10. If you're familiar, this is an early cert, though, from the 24 million range. So that's, I think 6-7 years ago. I could be wrong. But that goes for 18,000. We actually had one sell pretty recently. I looked it up in comps. So we had a golden one sell a month ago for 18.9. And this one's a more recent cert from the 65 million range. Personally, I think that this is probably the better of the deals, getting this one for 1,000 more. When I go in and look at this one, you know, it's a great Ronaldo, you know, no shame in this. I'm pretty sure it's like a pop 20 something. But yeah, I mean, great centering, looks really good. To me, the corners, I mean, you know, maybe I'm nitpicking here, but when you look at that corner, it looks a little soft. Yeah, I mean, when you look at all the corners on this sticker, to me, there's a case that there's just a little softness going on. And that's the type of thing where if you send it back to PSA today, I don't know if you're getting a 10. I really, truly doubt you're getting a 10. But it got a 10 back then, and that's what matters, right? So I guess in the future, if PSA ever deemed it not to be a 10, they would pay out on something like that, but I doubt they would. It's still a great Ronaldo sticker, and I think it going for the same price as what, in my opinion, is a better graded one just a month later, it seems to be a pretty good sign. There's probably a couple people out there, I would say, that are, you know, looking at Ronaldo and just looking at high-end soccer. I mean, Gary Vee sort of talked about it, how he's been delving into this. I'm pretty sure he picked up a Ronaldo Mega Cracks PSA 10 or something along those lines. So I'm sure in that same realm, you know, there's people sort of hunting this type of stuff because it's sort of artificially been beat up by the fake stickers, and, you know, that can be an opportunity for the right people, but at the same time, this all has to be sorted out. If PSA never sorts it out, then, you know, we're not in a great spot. So, but yeah, that's you know, all to be determined, and the fun in talking about it as of now. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. I had fun going through this auction. Was a pretty fun one, top to bottom. I really love the depth of collecting in terms of, you know, anything from 1900s, sometimes 1800s, even to modern gold Messi's in the same row as a, you know, Bobby Charlton rarer version. Just tons of fun. But that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. I'd appreciate it greatly. If you want to see more videos like this as soon as we go live, make sure to subscribe. I'm also going to reach out to PWCC to try to work out an affiliate link where basically, you know, I get a small percent from their sales, not you guys paying a small percent. It comes out of the whole thing. So I think that'd be a really fun way of just, if you want to give back to the channel, feel free. I'm not going to try to, you know, shove it down your throat or, you know, make it really, really apparent. Just for the people that want to use it and help support, you know, I've had people message in the past, and so I do appreciate that, and I'll do my part to try to make that available. But yeah, if you want to see more videos like this as soon as we go live, make sure to subscribe. And with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.